Yo, what's up? We're gonna be reviewing Man of Steel today, so let's get into it. The movie starts off with Jor-El and Laura while she's giving birth to little baby Cal. It then cuts to Jor-El explaining how Krypton's core is collapsing. Their army general Zod and his group interrupt the council meeting to take Jor-El away. However, it ends up with Jor-El beating the out of people who are associated with Zod. He then tells Laura to ready the pod to launch little baby Cal away from Krypton while he flies through the middle of a war zone. Jor-El gets an activation key and puts it in the pod with little baby Cal, but then Zod comes to try and stop them. However, he finds out it's too late. Cal's already been launched and is set en route for Earth. The two then fight while Zod eventually ends up stabbing Jor-El, killing him. Zod and his gang are then captured and transported into the Phantom Zone. It then gets to Clark, Cal's new name, on a boat with a crew as though he's a normal guy with a beard. The crew is then warned about them heading to a rig that is about to explode. Clark then uses his strength and might to help save the people within the rig. He now has a flashback up to when he was a little kid with his powers overwhelming him, causing him to have a slight anxiety attack. Now back to reality. He then finds a house, goes to the backyard, steals some clothes, and walks away like absolutely nothing happened with nobody noticing. He sees a school bus and has yet another flashback. In the flashback, the bridge that they are crossing with a bus full of kids breaks. Then the bus falls into a lake, almost drowning everyone within it. Then Clark decides to save them, again with his strength. He then has a discussion with his father about how he should keep his powers a secret so that nobody finds out about him. Clark then says, "What was I supposed to do? Just let them die?" Then his father says, "Maybe." "What the kind of answer is that, Dad?" His father then shows him the ship that he crashed to Earth in and finds the activation key. Now, back to reality again. He's in a bar and witnesses a guy harassing a waitress and tells him to stop. But the man refuses, pours beer all over Clark's head, and tries to push him. However, Clark does not move a single inch. Clark then leaves the bar. The man he had encountered before later leaves the bar, only to find out that his truck is skewered by telephone poles. We then come across Lois Lane, who is in Antarctica with a research group. She discovers a tunnel underground leading to Clark, who has found a ship from Krypton. Clark takes the activation key, inserts it into the ship, and a conscience of his father. He takes the activation key, inserts it into the ship, and a conscience of his biological father, Jor-El, is then projected to him. Lois has now also found the ship. She then encounters something that looks like it'd be from Half-Life 2, alerting Clark, thus coming to save her. She was cut from the machine. Clark then lasers the wound to cauterize it and stops the bleeding. Well, the first date's going okay. She then writes a story about how her mystery man saved her and wants to share it with the world. Cal then fully launches the ship and has a discussion with Jor-El. They talk about where he came from, how and why he ended up on Earth, and how Krypton They talk about where he came from, how and why he got to Earth, and for what reason Krypton had exploded. He's then presented with a suit and is told what the S symbol on it means, which is hope. He then begins to practice his skill of flight and then crashes through a goddamn mountain. Lois is now crossed paths with Clark and now asks him to explain his story. Now there's a slight flashback with Clark and his parents driving. They come across a tornado and Clark saves several people from it. However, saving his dog, Clark's father dies in the attempt. Lois then decides to drop her story considering about what Clark has found out about his new life. The government has now found photos of an unknown ship, which turns out to be Zod's. While it is headed towards Earth, there is a message from Zod saying that you are not alone. Zod then explains how he had journeyed very far to find Clark, thus coming across Earth. He now requests to have him return to him. The FBI then takes Lois away, and it cuts to a shot where the army is loading their weapons and aiming at Superman. He is now taken away to talk to Lois, and that is where she gave him the name, Superman. He then goes to Zod as he is handed over by the government. One of his group members takes Lois and Superman to Zod. He then explains to them how the destruction of Krypton set them free and how they searched for Superman. He explains how they were led to Earth because Superman had activated the ship with the activation key. Superman is now tied down when he finds out that Zod had actually killed Jor-El while Lois is put into a cell and activated the key card. Jor-El's conscience is then projected, introduces himself, and helps free her and his son. Superman regains his strength once again and breaks free. Meanwhile, Lois is killing some crew members and is put into a pod and shot to Earth. Zod and his crew interrogate Clark's human mother to find where the pod that he came to Earth in was. They eventually find the pod, but realize that the codex is not there. Superman then flies at full speed and beats the shit out of Zod for threatening his mother. Zod now has to readjust to Earth's atmosphere because his suit is no longer working. He then flies off, however 2 of his group members are left behind to deal with Superman. The army now tries to attack the 2, but it is not effective. They trade very hard hits, but Superman eventually overcomes them while they retreat to Zod. A machine is then sent to Earth by Zod to create Earth into a habitable planet for Kryptonians, thus beginning the process of terraforming and reshaping the planet, killing thousands. Superman then goes over to Zod, who is now fully adjusted to Earth's atmosphere and can utilize his powers to full potential. Superman is battling a device that is part of the terraforming process, breaking it and interrupting it. The army and Lois decide to release Superman's pod, crashing it into the ship. However, Superman gets there before and does it himself. Now the ship has crashed with the terraform itself, sending it back into the Phantom Zone. He then comes to find Zod on the ground. Zod absolutely flips his shit and fights Superman in the ultimate battle. Zod goes absolutely berserk, destroying buildings and killing lives. They trade punches, both getting beat to a pulp, however Superman ultimately wins. Zod had put too many lives in danger, thus making Superman snap his neck, killing him. Clark then gets a job at the Daily Planet as if absolutely nothing happened. In my personal opinion, I really liked this movie. It was good, I expected it to be, and in some cases it was better than I thought it would. I would for sure give this movie a buy. Now my channel is going to start anytime between late 2016 and around early 2017. Please like, favorite, and share this video. And if you haven't subscribed already, fuck off.